Hello friends, today you are welcome again in video lecture series on ecological adaptations. So last time I have discussed the morphological adaptations in the xeropodic plants or xerophytes. So today I am going to discuss the anatomical adaptations in xerophytes. So the anatomical adaptations, as like morphological adaptations, anatomical adaptations are well developed in all major organs of the plants like root, stem as well as leaves. So in order to resist the drought conditions, most of the xeropodic plants produces morphological, anatomical as well as physiological adaptations. So today I am going to discuss the anatomical adaptations in xeropodic plants. So as far as the anatomical adaptations in root system of xeropodic plants is concerned, so anatomically root system shows the well developed root cap at the tip of the young growing roots. Well developed root cap is there in all xeropodic plants. Again, if we observe the root hairs, number of root hairs on the young growing regions of the roots, the number of root hairs is maximum in most of the xeropodic plants or all the xeropodic plants. That means well developed root system, presence of well developed root cap is the important character of the all xeropodic plants. Then next anatomical character, thick cork layers. So before secondary growth in dicot, epidermis is there for protecting the inner tissues from mechanical injury as well as entry of pathogens as well as another reasons. From protecting the inner tissues, epidermis plays an important role. When root becomes old or stem of the any dicot or gymnospermic plant becomes old, epidermis is replaced by the cork layers. So if we observe the cork layers in root as well as stems of xeropodic plants, the cork layers are generally thicker in nature. That means thick layers of cork is the another anatomical adaptation. Then if we observe the number of mechanical tissues or amount of this mechanical tissue as well as amount of this conducting tissue. So mechanical tissues and conducting tissues in all xeropodic plants are well developed. So what is the meaning of this term? Well developed conducting tissue, well developed mechanical tissue. That means in herbaceous organs, mechanical tissues are present in the form of collenchyma tissue and sclerenchyma tissue. In root, sclerenchyma is not, collenchyma is not there. Mechanical tissue in the form of xylem and sclerenchyma is well developed. As far as conducting tissue is concerned, the xylem and phloem, these are the two basic conducting tissues which are found in all vascular plants. So in all xeropodic plants, these conducting tissues in the form of xylem and phloem, they are also well developed. That means all the elements of the xylem like tracheids, vessels, fibers, parenchyma, they are well developed or large in number. That means well developed conducting tissue, well developed mechanical tissue, presence of thick layers of the bark, presence of large number of root hairs, presence of root caps. These are the prominent anatomical adaptations shown by most of the xeropodic plants. Then if we observe the anatomical adaptations in stem, so as like root, stem of all xeropodic plants also shows the thick layer of cuticle. So this cuticle is the substance, fatty substance, which is present on the upper layer of the epidermis. It may be leaf or it may be stem. All aerial organs of the plant, they are generally covered with cuticle. So in case of mesopodic plant, this cuticle is thin one. But in xeropodic plants, it may be stem, it may be leaf. the nature of this cuticle is generally thick. That means this thick cuticle and presence of the bark layers, which plays important role in protecting the inner tissues from effect of the heat or more temperature, which is commonly observed in the deserts or dry regions where the xeropodic plants are growing. That means this thick cuticle and thick bark layers, they prevent the heating of the inner tissues and prevents the plant from excessive loss of water also. Then if we observe the succulent xeropodic plant stems, for example Opuntia, if we take the transverse section of Opuntia phylloclade and observe the inner tissues, anatomical organs, the succulent xeropodic plants stem possess more amount of water storage tissue. That means when water is available in the soil, root absorbs water very fastly, and this excessive amount of water which is absorbed when there is availability of water during rainy season, the shallow root system of the succulent xeropodic plants absorbs water very fastly, and this water is stored in the stem. If some organs are except the stem, for example leaf, in yellow leaf is succulent. This leaf can take part in storage of water due to presence of more number of water storage tissue. That means if the organ is stem, if it is succulent, it shows the more water storage tissue in order to store excess quantity of water. That means in succulent stems of xeropodic plants, water storage tissues are well developed. Then if we observe the stem epidermis of all the xeropodic plants is also covered with cuticle. That means in some plants this epidermis is also showing the nature of another layer commonly known as lignin. So that means the cuticle may be made up of fatty substance cutin or it may be made up of lignin. That means lignified walls or cutinized walls are present on the epidermis. That means epidermis is additionally covered or coated with the fatty substance cutin, which is commonly known as cuticle. So this presence of cuticle on the epidermis is also playing important role in protecting the inner tissues as well as checking the rate of transpiration. Then if we observe the next layer in the epidermis, below the epidermis, in stem is hypodermis. So in most of the xeropodic plants, hypodermis is not there. Sclerenchymatous hypodermis is not there. But in some xeropodic plants, for example Casuarina, hypodermis is there, which is made up of many layers of sclerenchyma tissue. That means in some xeropodic plants, hypodermis is made up of sclerenchyma tissue. It is a dead tissue, mechanical tissue, which gives more mechanical strength to the organs possessing them. Then if we observe the vascular tissues, or these tissues are also known as conducting tissues. So vascular tissues or conducting tissues in stem also, they are also well developed as like root. That means in all organs, it may be root, it may be stem, it may be root, stem, leaf, all organs possess well developed vascular tissues or well developed conducting tissues. Then if we observe the mechanical tissues, so mechanical tissues as like root, the stem also possess well developed mechanical tissues. If organs are herbaceous, collenchyma, sclerenchyma, mechanical tissues are there. If organs are woody, for example stem, root, these are the woody organs which are generally found in perennial plants. So in perennial xeropodic stems, the mechanical tissues are well developed in the form of sclerenchyma as well as in the form of xylem. That means xylem is playing two roles. Major role of xylem is conduction of the water and nutrients, and another role of xylem is to take part in giving mechanical support to the organs possessing them. That means mechanical tissues in the form of sclerenchyma, collenchyma as well as xylem tissue are well developed in the stem of all xeropodic plants. Then if we observe the cell size of xeropodic plants, it may be leaf, it may be stem, it may be root. The cell size is generally small as compared to the cell size of mesophytic plants or plants which are growing in moderate climatic conditions, commonly known as mesophytes. That means cells are relatively smaller in size, which are possessing the vacuoles. Then lastly, I am going to discuss the anatomical adaptations in leaves of the xerophytic plants. So with the help of these two figures, these two diagrams, I am going to explain the anatomical adaptations in xerophytic leaves. So in case of leaf, this is the transverse section of alloy leaf. So we know very well, this alloy is an example of succulent xerophyte. That means the leaves of the alloy, they become thick and fleshy for the purpose of storage of water in excess quantity. This is the transverse section of nerium. So we know very well, this nerium is the example of drought resisting xerophyte, or it is an example of true xerophyte. So with the help of these two figures, we shall try to understand the anatomical adaptations in these leaves of the xerophytic plants. So leaves of the xerophytic plants, if we take the transverse section and observe under microscope, it shows the outermost layer, which is commonly known as epidermis. So this epidermis layer is generally single layer. So in case of this alloy leaf, it is also single layer. So this epidermis layer is covered with thick layer of cuticle. Nature of cuticle is thick one. So thick cuticle is the anatomical characteristic feature of most of the xerophytic plants. That means epidermis, which is covered with thick cuticle, is important anatomical character of xerophytic leaves. In some plants, the cuticle is also covered with additional layers of wax or waxy coating. For example, if we observe the leaves of nerium, if we observe the leaves of agave, if we observe the leaves of Calotropis, this Calotropis alloy leaves shows the sticky substance on the leaf surface. So this sticky substance is nothing but waxy coating. So this waxy coating and thick cuticle prevents the excessive loss of water due to transpiration. That means for checking or reducing the rate of transpiration, epidermis is covered with this thick cuticle, and in some plants additional waxy coating is also there. So this is the anatomical adaptation. Then epidermis in some plant, for example in nerium, true xerophyte, epidermis is, how many layers are there? 1, 2, 3. This is the upper epidermis, it is multi-layer or many-layer. This is the lower epidermis, it is also showing 1, 2, 3 layers. That means multiple epidermis or multi-layered epidermis is the anatomical adaptations which is required by the true xerophytic plants in order to reduce the rate of transpiration or check the rate of transpiration. Then hypodermis. Hypodermis is not found in generally leaves. Hypodermis is the only found in stems. But in some xerophytic plants, hypodermis is there. That means this epidermis is with thick cuticle, waxy coating. In some plants, hypodermis is there, and this hypodermis is generally sclerenchymatous. For example, if we take the transverse section of this spinous, in this spinous leaf, this hypodermis layer is there. So below the epidermis there is a palisade tissue in most of the leaf. In between two epidermis, upper and lower epidermis, this middle portion is occupied by palisade tissue. Mesophyll tissue. That means in spinous leaf there is no distinct mesophyll tissue. Epidermis is followed by the hypodermis, and this hypodermis in spinous leaf is made up of sclerenchyma tissue. So this sclerenchyma, multi-layered sclerenchyma hypodermis is the adaptation in this spinous leaf anatomy. Then in between both epidermis, upper epidermis and lower epidermis, which is this region is commonly called as this middle portion in between two epidermis is commonly called as mesophyll tissue region. So this mesophyll tissue is well differentiated into this palisade tissue and spongy tissue. That means palisade tissue is made up of rod-like or finger-like, compactly arranged, thin-walled, chlorophyll containing cells. So upper epidermis is followed by 2 to 3 layers of this palisade tissue. 2 to 3 layers of this palisade tissue or more chlorophyll containing cells. Lower epidermis is also followed by the palisade tissue, but one layer is there only. That means presence of palisade tissue at upper layer, below the upper epidermis. The lip shows dark green portion, dark green color at the upper side. That means in case of dorsiventral leaves, upper portion of the lip is dark green, lower portion of the lip is pale green because of presence of this palisade tissue below the upper epidermis. That means this mesophyll tissue which is present in between upper and lower epidermis, it is differentiated into palisade tissue and spongy tissue. Why this tissue is known as spongy tissue? Because this tissue is also having less number of chlorophyll pigments, but intercellular spaces are more in this tissue. That's why this parenchyma tissue is commonly called as spongy tissue layer. That means this well differentiated mesophyll tissue into palisade tissue and spongy tissue is important anatomical character in most of the leaves of the xeropodic plants. Then if we observe the stomata, so stomata are generally found in aerial organs of the plants, especially leaves. So in this case, this is the stomata. The stomata are generally present in differentiation. These stomata in xeropodic plants are commonly called as what kind of stomata? Sunken type of stomata. That means this sunken stomata is characteristic feature of xeropodic plant. Sunken stomata is the characteristic feature of xeropod. If we observe here, nerium leaf, stomata are totally absent in upper epidermis. Stomata are only found in lower epidermis, and these stomata are present in stomatal pit or stomatal cavity. So this is the stomatal cavity, and inside this stomatal cavity, these stomata are there. That means stomata are only found in lower epidermis. In order to reduce the rate of transpiration, stomata are preserved or they are stored in differentiation, in cavities known as stomatal pits or stomatal cavities, and this sunken stomata, presence of stomata in depressions or in cavities, is the important anatomical character of the most of the xeropodic leaves. That means in nerium leaf, upper epidermis is lacking stomata, only lower epidermis possess stomata which are found in stomatal cavities. They are also known as sunken stomata. Sunken stomata. So intercellular spaces in leaf tissue, they are generally reduced or less in amount as compared to mesophytic plants. Then region canals or mucilage canals are also reported or also found in some xeropodic plants. Then if we observe the vascular tissue, that means in leaf, vascular tissue is present in the region of vein. Vascular bundle, it is known as vascular bundle. So this vascular tissues in the form of xylem and phloem, they are well developed. They are well developed. So if we observe this yellow leaf, this upper epidermis covered with thick cuticle, upper epidermis possess sunken stomata. This is the lower epidermis, it is also having stomata. They are also sunken type. Lower epidermis is also covered with thick cuticle. Both upper and lower epidermis are followed by photosynthetic tissue or palisade tissue, and major portion of this leaf is occupied by the water and mucilage storage tissue. Water and mucilage storage tissues are observed in this yellow leaf. That means this is the adaptation required by this yellow plant, yellow leaf. That means leaves becomes thick and fleshy due to presence of more amount of this water and mucilage storage tissue in between these two photosynthetic zones, palisade zones, which are lying just below the upper epidermis and just above the lower epidermis. That means presence of thick cuticle, presence of sunken stomata, presence of more amount of water storage tissue and mucilage storage tissue. These are the adaptations seen by these succulent xeropodic plants like aloe. These are the vascular bundles. These vascular bundles in aloe leaf, they are also well developed. Means vascular bundle, each vascular bundle possesses the well developed xylem elements as well as phloem elements. That means if we observe the anatomy of any leaf, it may be leaf of true xerophyte or drought resisting xerophyte, or it may be leaf of succulent xerophyte. Both leaves, both kinds of xerophytic plants possess the anatomical characters, and due to development of such anatomical characters, the plants can resist, the organs can resist the adverse conditions, drought conditions, and plants can survive in adverse conditions of nature also. Then finally, I am going to discuss shortly the physiological adaptations shown by the xerophytic plants. So, number one, first physiological adaptation shown by the xerophytic plants is osmotic potential. In xerophytic plants, osmotic potential is generally high, and this high osmotic potential helps to maintain the turgidity during drought conditions. That means more osmotic potential in the cells is beneficial for the xerophytic plant tissues in order to maintain the turgidity of cells during drought conditions or adverse conditions. The next physiological adaptation, transpiration rate is generally high in most of the xerophytic plants. Even though the transpiration rate is high, the loss of water is very less. Loss of water is very less. In some xerophytic plants, the stomata remains open during daytime. So, in case of another plant, mesophytic plants or another xerophytic plants, so in succulent xerophytic plants, the stomata remains closed during daytime and stomata remains open during night time. That means this is the anatomical adaptation. Then respiration occurs during night time. In some xerophytic plants, respiration occurs during night time and respiratory quotient is less than 1, and photosynthetic product in some xerophytic plants are organic acids. So we know very well the name of the photosynthetic product which is produced by the all green cells. So in most of the plants, photosynthetic product is a starch. By utilizing raw food material in the form of nutrients, water and sunlight, atmospheric CO2, green cell synthesizes food material in the form of starch. That means starch is the name of the photosynthetic product produced by the green tissues. But in some xerophytic plants, photosynthetic product is not starch, but photosynthetic product is organic acids. That means those plants shows the photosynthetic product organic acids. The plants which shows this CAM pathway of CO2 fixation. So you know very well what is this CAM. There are different pathways of carbon fixation or CO2 fixation shown by the plants: C3 plants, C4 plants and CAM plant. This is the classification made by the physiologists in order to differentiate the plants on the basis of the method of CO2 fixation. In plants, some xerophytic plants which shows this crassulacean acid metabolism pathway. Crassulacean acid metabolism pathway. That means CAM or CAM pathway. So in these plants, CAM plants, organic acids are generally produced during the process of photosynthesis. So this is the anatomical adaptations required by these plants. And last character, physiological character shown by the xerophytic plants is some plants, xerophytic plants shows inward curling of leaves or inward curling of some organs. So for example, I have told you last time, the plants like Poa ammophila, leaves of the Poa ammophila shows the curling of leaf lamina. So this curling of leaf lamina is beneficial for these plants which are growing in drought regions or dry conditions for checking the rate of transpiration. That means this inward curling of organs is commonly known as hydrocacy. So this hydrocacy is also adaptation required by these xerophytic plants. So that's all about the important anatomical adaptations in xerophytic plants with respect to these three major organs like root, stem and leaf. Okay.